Who is to you the most naturally funny person you've ever encountered?
Red Fox.
Red Fox. Oh, that's a great answer.
Red Fox.
That's a great answer.
Red Fox, without even trying, just naturally funny. Just everything that came out of his mouth was funny.
That's right, fellas. Catch any cab heading uptown because all the drivers know about Ray's Boom Boom.
For Eddie Murphy, there is no debate, no contest, and no qualification. Richard Pryor is the undisputed king of comedy.
And I'm sure that those men are sitting in that room today laughing. Because that's what this dude, he just started laughing.
Whenever Murphy has been asked to name his greatest influence, the response has been immediate and emphatic. During the promotional tour for Dolomite Is My Name in 2019, Murphy declared, "I don't know who the top 5 is, but the king is Richard Pryor. That's forever. Nobody is even halfway close. He is the ceiling of the art form. All of us aspire to be like him. Nobody even comes close. 1 through 5. The other 4 don't count. It's Richard." Pryor's impact on Murphy's comedic development cannot be overstated. His ability to blend searing social commentary with devastating humor provided a model for Murphy's own brand of observational wit and fearless storytelling. In Raw and Delirious, Murphy's early stand-up specials, Pryor's influence is unmistakable, not merely in subject matter, but in tone, cadence, and unflinching honesty.
Dicks, we got the shit, boy. We got nice asses, too. We got our shit all hooked. See my ass?
Yet Murphy did not simply imitate Pryor. Instead, he internalized Pryor's lessons and reframed them through his own lens, adding youthful exuberance and a distinct urban sensibility. The result was a new kind of superstar comic who could command both live audiences and cinematic screens with equal authority. However, while Pryor's inspiration lit the way, Murphy faced an internal conflict: how to forge his own voice without remaining forever in Pryor's considerable shadow. If Richard Pryor was the ceiling, Red Fox was the earthier, more irreverent voice that helped ground Eddie Murphy's humor.
Show mama what it is. Man, I bet she don't even know. Come on, Pops, cheers. Cheers, that what you want? Yippee, yippee, yay, yay.
Murphy has often spoken of Fox's effortless comic brilliance, describing him in a 2023 interview with Jimmy Kimmel as the funniest person who ever lived, without even trying, just naturally funny. Everything that came out of his mouth was funny. Fox, who had risen to national prominence with Sanford and Son, represented a different archetype of comedian, one who blended bawdy nightclub humor with a deep undercurrent of human vulnerability. Murphy's affection for Fox extended beyond admiration. It became a personal bond. When Murphy directed and starred in Harlem Nights, he made sure to cast Fox, giving him a significant late-career showcase.
I didn't want to talk about it no more.
Whipped your ass.
You, man.
Their connection was not limited to professional gestures. When Red Fox died of a heart attack in 1991, reportedly broke due to unpaid taxes and mounting medical bills, Murphy stepped in quietly to pay for his funeral. It was an act of loyalty that spoke volumes about the debt Murphy felt he owed to the man who had inspired him to embrace the full, unapologetic range of comedic expression. Still, while Murphy revered Fox's raw spontaneity, he also recognized that such an approach could be perilous in an increasingly sanitized Hollywood, where public missteps could quickly overshadow talent. If Pryor and Fox represented the bold and the bawdy, Bill Cosby initially embodied the clean-cut, mainstream ideal.
Yes, I'm sure.
Now look, all we got to do is go on inside, see this cat, Little Seymour, and ask him about our property. Now come on.
In his early career, Murphy was heavily influenced by Cosby's image of respectability. Cosby's Fat Albert cartoons and stand-up albums had been a part of Murphy's childhood landscape, offering an example of how a black comedian could achieve universal appeal without pandering or compromising. Yet, as Murphy's fame ascended in the 1980s, his relationship with Cosby soured. In a 2024 interview with People, Murphy recalled the tensions that arose. "Richard was always supportive, but Cosby gave me a hard time. He saw me as a threat, I think. In the 80s, He would lecture me about being too blue, about needing to be a role model. Meanwhile, I was thinking, who is this guy to tell me how to be funny? The conflict between them became publicly known when Murphy parodied Cosby's sanctimonious lecturing in Raw.
And I say to my child, I say, what did the man say on the stage? And he says, pop, the man comes out and says these things.
The bit, in which Murphy recounted an angry phone call from Cosby demanding he clean up his act, became one of the film's signature moments, and a sign that Murphy was no longer willing to follow anyone's blueprint but his own. However, distancing himself from Cosby's model meant embracing a more provocative comedic identity, one that risked alienating parts of the mainstream audience. As he negotiated the legacies of Pryor, Fox, and Cosby, Murphy realized that caution was not his natural mode. His stand-up specials, particularly Delirious, were masterclasses in audacity.
And if you don't like it, you get the out. I don't give a I don't give a I pay the mother bills in this mother and hey, kiss my ass if you don't like it.
No topic was too sacred, no impression too irreverent. He skewered celebrities, mocked social mores, and mined personal anecdotes with an electric energy that few had ever matched. In part, Murphy's fearlessness came from recognizing that Pryor and Fox had paved the way. He once remarked in an interview, "Those guys took all the beatings. I could come through and do my thing because they knocked the walls down." Yet the brashness that made Murphy a sensation also drew criticism, particularly around his use of language and certain jokes that, in retrospect, have been viewed as insensitive or offensive. In later years, Murphy would acknowledge these missteps, telling the New York Times in 2019 that, "I was a young guy making jokes about stuff I didn't fully understand yet. You grow, you learn." Still, as Murphy transitioned to film, the tension between raw comic instinct and the demands of broader stardom would come to define the next phase of his career. In moving to Hollywood, Murphy entered a domain where his influences could no longer be raw models. They had to become guiding spirits. Films like 48 Hours, Trading Places, and Beverly Hills Cop showcased his charisma and comic timing, but also demanded a new discipline. No longer could he rely solely on spontaneity. Scripts, directors, and studio expectations shaped his performances. Murphy adapted brilliantly, becoming one of the few stand-up comics to achieve sustained box office dominance. Yet he never lost sight of his roots. When crafting characters like Axel Foley or Prince Akeem, Murphy drew heavily from the improvisational skills he had admired in Pryor and Fox. He explained in a 2020 interview with Vanity Fair, "I approach scenes the way I approach stand-up. You know where you're starting and where you're supposed to end up, but what happens in between, that's where the magic is." However, even as he thrived on screen, Murphy faced the creeping sense that his edgier, stage-forged persona might be softening, diluted by the demands of family films and franchise opportunities. After decades of cinematic success, Murphy began teasing a return to stand-up, suggesting in interviews as early as 2019 that he was preparing to hit the stage once more. For Murphy, it was not simply about nostalgia, it was about reconnecting with the unfiltered voice that had first made him a star. Reflecting on his early heroes, Murphy said, "You never lose that bug. Watching guys like Richard, seeing how red could just destroy a room, it stays in you. You miss that energy." He hinted at new material that would reflect his maturity, noting, "I'm a different person now. If I go back, it won't be the 20-year-old me up there, it'll be the guy who's lived a whole life." Yet the challenge remained daunting: how to honor the wild spirit of Pryor and Fox while addressing an audience far more sensitive to issues of representation and offense. Eddie Murphy's journey through comedy has never been a solitary one. He has traveled a road paved by Richard Pryor's fearless honesty, Red Fox's natural brilliance, and Bill Cosby's early model of mainstream acceptance, even as he ultimately rejected parts of that legacy. His career reflects the tensions and triumphs of Black American comedy in the late 20th century, the push to break barriers, the need to claim authenticity, and the struggle to remain true to a voice while achieving global fame. Murphy himself seems acutely aware of the inheritance he carries. As he put it simply in a 2024 interview, "I'm here because they were there first." It is a legacy he honors not through imitation, but through evolution, walking a path uniquely his own, yet forever lit by the laughter of those who came before.